Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. We are here. The international break is almost over. Our beloved Inter is almost back. Well, I don't know if I'm so happy about Inter being back soon, but yeah, it is what it is. But we are here today, joined for a special episode to talk about Inter in a more of a tactical view of things. And I've brought the guest today. His name is Marco Lai. And you must, if you've not seen him on Twitter, he is the master of these tactical threads where he breaks down everything of what's going on with teams within matches. So he's definitely a recommended follow on Twitter. Before we get started, I want to get that, make sure everyone knows to follow him on Twitter. But yeah, welcome to the channel, Marco Lai. How are you doing, bro?
First of all, you're too nice. Thanks for having me, and hello to everybody.
Yes. Let me give a quick shout out to the people that are in the house already. They were waiting in the stream already before we even started. Yes, Keston, that's the Interisti right now, scared for the resumption of Serie A. It's not an easy fixture list for Inter. We've got Roma, then we got Barcelona, Sassuolo, then Barcelona again. So ah, it was a nice break, but then now we are back in once again strongly. Emil is one of the many people that at the moment are not big fans of Inzaghi, who think he's a mid-table level manager, which at the moment he's kind of showing it. But we'll get into that maybe as well. Marco, you can tell us more about your opinion on Inzaghi as well as we go on. Mattia in the house as well. Kirby 8, Seeker of Truth, Mighty Mao, Kuro Black. Thank you everyone, and he seems like one of your friends in the house as well, Stefano Ferrero.
Ciao, Stefan.
And let's hope, yes, that's what Inzaghi is watching, because Marco is going to cook up some nice content for sure. Thank you, Matteo, for coming through as well. Harry them in the house as well. Yeah, Marco, sorry. I've done something similar on my channel before with my friend called Mo. He does more Inter content on this other platform called Inter Worldwide. But the thing is, I brought you because I want someone to come in with like a fresh, out of Interista view, out of the box thinking, because we watch our team every time. We have our own biases and opinions, but going to come in, bring us some fresh insights into what you think is going wrong at Inter. And by the way, Marco is a Cagliari fan, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you can't accuse him of having he's not Milanista or Juventino. He doesn't have any.
Well, actually, on Twitter, I'm always told that I'm Milanista, Interista, or Juventino. Depends on what I've write usually. If I say Barella is a really good player, I'm Interista. Tonali a good player, Milanista, and so on and so on. So I'm used to it.
Yeah. No, that's the world of Twitter. Anything that you do towards some, I get it as well. Like I'm everything like Inter. I wear Inter everything, but sometimes I'm like, oh, you're sympathizing too much with the enemy. But yeah, it's hard to be objective on Twitter. But today we are going to be very objective, guys. And Marco has prepared a beautiful set of screenshots and slides that we're going to go through. So yeah, let's get started. Marco will start off with the first one, and I've seen you gone for Inter versus Bayern.
Well, when we talked on Twitter the first time about this live, you asked me about the defensive problems. So I mainly focused on defensive problems, although we might expand on the topic. And I've identified like 4 points, I'd say. The first one is the defense of out spaces. I don't know if everyone is familiar with out spaces, but in that case, I will analyze it better next. Then there's the topic of distances. And by distances, I mean both from the shot outside of the box, like Luis Roberto goal. I have a frame about that, and also distances from players, like in midfield, creative players that are usually way too free to make the decisive pass.
Yeah.
Also, the problems in the build-up that lead to several problems defensively, and last but not least, actually, I'm a sucker for tactics, but the most important thing is how individual players perform, and it's the point on individual performances that are quite bad at the moment.
Okay.
So if you I've taken screenshots from the match against Bayern Munich, derby with AC Milan, Lecce, Lazio, and that's it, I guess. And this is the game against Bayern Munich. This is the first goal scored by Leroy Sané. And as we can see, Kimmich is on the ball. It's like if the best deep midfielder in the world, or like something like that. And Lautaro tries to close on him, but there's way too distance. So Kimmich, which is an amazing long ball player, has all the time and space to make a decisive pass. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
And here we can see Leroy Sané, like receiving the ball. And here you can see I've underlined half spaces. So if you want to understand what an half space is, you have to picture like the pitch. We split the pitch in 5 zones. The central zone, the 2 wide zones, and then the zones in between are the half spaces. And they are like really important right now in football. They're used by many teams to like enter into the box, and they increase the chances to score. Like Man City, you use them a lot. You usually have like 2 wide players they provide width. They pin the opponent fullback, and they create space in between the fullback and the center back. And Inter is struggling a lot with half spaces. Like here you see the space between Dumfries and D'Ambrosio, and also D'Ambrosio and Skriniar. We also see like down there's Alphonso Davies, who's totally free because Dumfries is trying to close on Leroy Sané.
And
but
Bastoni
anyway, this is
having the time of his life somewhere else.
yeah, absolutely. Kimmich could also like try to look for Davies there, and Davies will have all the time in the world to like find a one-on-one against Dumfries, and that's not a situation you want to live with. So like half spaces, this is a main problem. And you can also see here, because it's important right now, Bastoni is not in the defensive line. It's like higher on Sabitzer, and there's a reason. So the next slide will cover that. This is the second goal scored by Bayern Munich, and you see like Bastoni leaving the back line, because generally when you play with a back 5, you don't want to be like flat. You don't want to play with 5 defenders, because you concede too much pitch to the opposition, especially in the last third of the pitch. So ideally you want one of your defenders, especially the right center back and the left center back, to, as we say in Italian, rompere le linee, which would translate in breaking the lines, but that's not a good translation because that means something else in English. But that just means to jump out of the line to close on a player between the lines. So here Bastoni tries to do that. He tries to close on Leroy Sané, but he's just too shy in a way, not intense enough. So Leroy Sané has all the time in the world to turn, find Coman, 1-2, and then there's the second goal. And this is a problem that it's quite common right now with Inter. They're not intense enough, I have this feeling, because that's normal. You generally leave that space when you want your defender to jump off the line, but that's a risk you're willing to take, because the defender has to jump really aggressive so that the player can turn. But if you don't do that intensely enough, that's just a problem.
No, I agree. I think a lot of the problems that we've had is the pressing seems to be kind of half. We don't know if we're like a pressing, like I don't know if we're like a pressing team or if we're
I agree.
a drop-off
I
team.
totally agree.
We seem to be like a mixture, but not a good mixture, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, yeah. Usually I try to remember about Manchester City, Chelsea, the UEFA Champions League final 2 years ago. That's, in my opinion, one of the best defensive performances of the last like 5 years, 10 years. And if you remember, Chelsea used to play with a back 5. And as I said before, Manchester City usually try to exploit those half spaces. So Tuchel asked to Rudiger and Azpilicueta to jump out of the line really aggressively, so that the City players couldn't turn. That here, in that case, it worked. Here with Inter, is not working for like an intense point of view. Aggressively, not aggressive enough.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, I'm asking your opinion of what, but. People are saying it could be also a preparation, like physical thing. Do you think there's a factor to that as well?
Yeah, it might be actually. Clearly, I'm not an expert on the topic, but yeah, I have the feeling that Inter's players are not like running enough or running well either. So yeah, I think that's partially true.
Yeah, because going into this video today, like I've rewatched some of our games, the ones we lost, and I've watched some games from last season. And to me, of course,
Hmm.
there's tactical issues as well, like you're going to point out. But I just think primarily, in my opinion, it's just up here
Mentally,
mentally.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. We'll cover that back because
Okay.
that's really important, of course.
Okay. So I'll bring the
Absolutely.
slides back up.
Yeah, just go on if you want. Okay, so this is the game against Lazio.
Oh,
This is Felipe Anderson goal that
you're gonna
you
you're
will
gonna bring
remember.
us all the bad memories back on.
Yeah, this is not going to be a good live stream for Inter fans. I'm telling you, he this match derby,
Yeah.
so
Oh God.
it's not gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we can see basically the same problems as before.
Hmm.
You have Milinkovic Savic here, which in my opinion is the best player in Serie A, but that's just my opinion. And
No, I
you,
agree.
okay, you agree?
Mhm.
Perfect. You might think that Brozovic is actually close to him, but if you
Mhm.
see the video, he's really late, and in general, Milinkovic Savic just need like this amount of space to perform
Yeah.
really well. So too much space and time for SMS, as we usually call him. And also, again, the off-space problem here between Di Marco. I don't want to see this footage. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Too much room here between Di Marco and Bastoni, but this
Yeah.
actually also relates to the idea of individual performances, because
Mhm.
yeah, this is kind of a problem of half space. But if you remember the clip, Di Marco actually sees that Felipe Anderson is in
Yeah.
front of him. It just doesn't do anything.
Doesn't
It doesn't
react in
sprint
time.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe he was tired or something, because he's not really a resistant player. But
No.
that's just not okay in my opinion.
Yeah.
In fact, I always say that to me Bastoni is not really accountable for this goal. It's all just Di Marco, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, yeah, Dimarco, he was kind of like, I remember like pointing this out in my post-match reaction. He was just kind
Yeah,
of jogging back, and
jogging.
then,
Yeah,
yeah,
precisely. Yeah.
yeah. I don't think he just doesn't have that stamina to be like sprinting back and forth. Because
Yeah.
that's the reason I think maybe Inzaghi doesn't see him as a left wing back, which I can see why, but at the same time, I don't think he's good enough defensively to play in the back three. So it's a tricky one. I
Di
saw
Marco.
YouTube about
Yeah,
Dimarco as well yesterday.
Di Marco is a weird player. Honestly, I don't know what solutions you might find to make him play well enough. I don't know. He's not a center back. He's not a wing back, as you said. I don't know.
Mhm.
He's just weird.
Yeah. Of the question, some more people are asking about the
Sure.
higher line or doing offside trap. I mean, higher defensive line. I think we just can't. I just think we can't do it because of our defenders are just not quick enough. We just get punished if we play a higher
Mm-hmm.
defensive line. So, and yeah, I don't know about why we don't do offside trap. I guess it's a similar issue because you have to be able to
Absolutely.
risk, but it's a very
Well,
risky move.
about that, actually, I don't know the stats about the defensive line, the height of the defensive line
Mhm.
for Inter this season. But actually, from a statistical point of view, pressing, actually Inter is pressing more than last year. Not so much, but they're pressing a bit higher. Well,
Mhm.
a bit more intense, not higher. And I don't think you have the players to uh, try that kind of solution. Here Stefano is basically saying we should play Onana instead of Handanovic because he has the ability to play higher, and
Yeah.
I'm absolutely 100%. I agree with him 100%. But you don't have the players to play a high line in my opinion. Onana could help, but the defenders are just too slow.
Yeah, he can't cover all of that space on him by
Mm.
himself.
Yeah,
It's tricky. It's tricky. It's obviously the Mercato was just didn't give us the kind of the
central back.
plan was to get Bremer and Milenkovic to kind of change
Yeah,
the style of defenders that we have, which I think, as much as it would have hurt to lose Skriniar, but you could see that we could play in a completely different way with those two guys.
yeah.
Um,
Bremer especially would have changed everything in my opinion. even
Yeah,
though
yeah,
he's not playing really well right now. But that's more like an Allegri problem than a Bremer
yeah, yeah.
problem.
You can make a thread about the problems over that side, even longer.
No, no, I don't want to, because then I'm going to receive like thousands of insults by Juventinis. So
Yeah, yeah. Shall I move on to the next slide?
yeah, sure, absolutely. Again, Lazio, similar situation as before. Lazio, as usual, try to create these triangles on the flanks.
Yeah.
So you have like your fullbacks. I don't remember who was playing here. If it was Gossens or Di Marco, I just don't remember. But he has to jump on the carrier here, and there's another player moving to the right. So Bastoni has to like jump on him, and that creates a room between them, between De Vrij and Bastoni, and there's where Milinkovic-Savic, just enters and receives the ball. And if you go like to the next slide, 7 seconds later, that's what happens. Like 7 seconds later, the frame before.
Yeah.
I know they don't look like related, but trust me on this. And the problem is here is what I was trying to say before: distance. This time from the shooters. This is a huge amount of distance from the shooter, and if that shooter is Luis Alberto, you're going to have a problem there.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's funny that you've got screenshots that I did myself, for like in my post match reaction, because it's just like, wow,
Yeah,
like it's they're so clear, the problems that we have. It's always they're very almost like they're obvious, but it seems like we keep repeating the same mistakes every match.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing about the PowerPoint I made, is that it's always the same problems again and again. Different matches, same problems. We are just two different matches, same errors: up spaces, distance from the ball carrier.
Yeah.
You have to find a solution.
Yeah. And again, as you said, the pressing part, like, there is just about just going to the guy, like making sure that he doesn't have. He obviously he's gonna shoot,
Absolutely.
but you have to make sure that you are able to block that. And Barella, I mean, in the end, he actually deflected it. I think that's why it went
Yes.
like in the corner. But it's
Yeah, that's
basic.
true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go on if you want. Okay, so this is a different situation actually.
Okay.
It relates more to individual performances,
Oh,
and
yeah, I
also as
remember
we can see,
Yeah,
yes, he
yeah.
said. Usually, Inter try to bring many players in the offensive phase. Like the two strikers, the two wing backs, two midfielders, and maybe even one of the center backs, like Bastoni maybe, and
Yeah.
in this case even Brozovic. So if you lose the ball there, you might be exposed. If you win the ball back in this duel here with Skriniar, you actually have a good situation, because Lecce is not well structured. But if you lose the duel, that's a problem. In fact, next slide, you see that this is the situation you're in. Again, I didn't highlighted it, but actually between Skriniar and Di Marco, that's the half space. That's a wide half space. There's just like Brozovic that is late. If you see the frame before, you'll see how much of a distance there is between Brozovic and Cisse that is gonna score. Like Cisse is over there. Brozovic is basically the last player in the red box on the left. So there's an easy pass. Cisse attacks the half space. Brozovic is too late, and that's a goal.
Skriniar didn't absorb the run there either. He just
Absolutely. Yeah, he lost the duel before, and now he didn't absorb. The movement.
This was a bad one to concede. I think when this one I remember when I reacted to this, I was like, it's Skriniar. He's come back from an injury. He didn't have a proper preseason, all this kind of stuff. So I was like, he'll be fine in 2 or 3 weeks. But we're seeing that,
he's not fine. He's not fine.
He's not fine still. Interesting question here from Francesco. Marco, what would be the solution for you if you was the manager when we keep seeing the same issues?
Well, I'm not that good, first of all, so I don't know. It's more on like it's a complex problem.
Yeah.
It's a matter of many things that are not working well enough. So, well, I don't know. You just have to, first of all, realize that these mistakes are happening all over again, again and again. So you just try to find some compactness in the defensive line, They have to be narrower. They're just too wide defensively. You have to be more aggressive because if in the case before Bastoni jumps out of his line, he has to be more aggressive, more intense because you need that.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know. In general, also defensively, transitions are not good enough. Midfielders are not running well enough defensively, and we have a frame there on Udinese game.
Mhm.
Uh, there are several problems actually.
Oh God, the Udinese game. Wow.
Also, Di Marco is a defensive liability, so I don't know. Gosens has to play, in my opinion. I don't know why he's not playing because he's playing in Champions League like 90 minutes. Then in Serie A he's not playing at all, so I don't know what's the situation there. I know there are several problems in the build-up if you play with Gosens and Dumfries together, but there are several strategies that you can apply.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Perisic.
we miss Perisic, but in this situation here, I don't know how I don't know if Perisic could have recovered us if we lose the ball up here. Like we're doing so many technical mistakes as well. Where like as you said, we take so many men forward, but it's
Yeah,
like almost impossible for people to be able to recover to that. Like it's
yeah.
yeah. And this is the whoa. Okay, you got one from Cremonese as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is basically the same situation as the frame before with Lecce. Half space, really wide half space between. I don't know who that is actually. Skriniar. I don't know who's the player on the aerial duo. Anyway, there's like.
Oh, the Vrij
What?
probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Anyway, big room here, and if you actually see well, there's also a huge off space between Dumfries and the center back there. So there's Okereke totally free. Dumfries
Yeah.
should absorb that movement, but it actually stays too wide. Anyway, the same situation here as before because half space, and then Brozovic is too late on Pickle, and he shoots on target. Good chance for Cremonese, but Andanovic for once saved it.
Yeah, yeah, no, for once, yeah. No, I remember that one. They had a few chances, Cremonese, that game because we won
Yeah,
comfortably, but it
absolutely,
was not a clean performance for
absolutely.
sure. And Francesco keeps asking more questions about playing lower. I think that is the way forward for sure at the moment.
I
Which
agree.
we Inter are already doing, but the problem is that if we like if you lose stupid balls up in if we get in transition, if we get here in transition I think it was clear in the derby, especially to me, that we tried to play lower since the Milan derby, but the compactness still isn't quite there. Even if we play lower, we're just inviting, like against Udinese, we were
Hmm.
low, but we're just inviting pressure.
I think that when Lukaku comes back, that's going to be a great asset because if you want to play lower, you both increase the performances of the three center
Yeah,
backs, but also Lukaku is an amazing player in counter attack, as we all
yeah,
know from last Conte season. So I think that Lukaku's absence has been, uh, it's not talked enough. I think that's going to be
yeah. No, no, he's
an
massive,
important
massive.
asset.
Yeah, no. Well, I think it's also because he wasn't that good, and in the Cremonese game, oh no, the Spezia game, he was really good. That was probably his best match since he's come back, Lukaku.
Hmm.
But in general, against Lazio, he wasn't that great. So I think it's more like
Yeah,
he was there, but then we didn't really see the difference he makes. But I think, yeah, him running in behind is gonna make a lot of
that and
help
that's
for us.
also a physical problem because
Yeah,
players huge as Lukaku actually need more time than the others to be in condition. Here, really, really quick, same problems as before. Too much distance from the shooter. This is Okereke goal, great goal. Andanovic not so good in my opinion. Anyway, too much distance here because D'Ambrosio instead of like closing on
Mhm.
Okereke tries to stay back, and there's a lot of distance, and that's actually an easy shot for a Serie A player.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, this was
That's
again just
right.
too easy.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, no, Mighty Mao. Yeah,
Uh,
it's talking about the motivational or the psychological problem that we know. I don't think he's just not that guy, Inzaghi. I just don't think he has that kind of management style to be bringing out 110% out of the players.
Absolutely,
He's
that's
not that
like
guy.
a mental problem.
Yeah,
There's so much stuff that we could talk about in regard to to Inzaghi.
Mm.
I'm not a great fan of Inzaghi, though I like some things. Okay, I
No, no,
was
oh, for God's sake, this one.
okay. Just the same problem as before. We can go really quick because I know that makes that's hard for you. That's a problem for you to
Yeah.
watch this game again. Anyway, cross from the flanks. Giroud is totally free. Neither De Vrij or Bastoni
Because
stays close
these
on
are
him.
such basic things, like
That yeah,
following the striker, like being close to the striker. I just don't understand. Like this is not even need
absolutely.
commentary on this.
That's basics. And also Andanovic totally
Yeah.
still still a statue. Laser
Well, actually,
save, laser
he did
save,
try.
as
He
we
did
say.
try on this one.
Yeah, a bit. Okay, next one should be Udinese, and then
Oh,
we have like Inter, the derby. I'm sorry about it. Anyway, similar situations as before. You see Bastoni here. It's in the circle. It's out of position
yeah.
for the same reasons as before. Anyway, the defensive line is just, I don't know, too wide. A lot of spaces here. See Beto there. There's space here for Pereira. Actually, Brozovic is trying to absorb it. Anyway, a different problem. It's always a matter of too distant from the shooters, but like cutbacks in this situation are really dangerous for Inter right now because they're not covering well enough. This is a transition situation, if I'm not mistaken, and like Mkhitaryan is not running back fast enough. There's no Barella, there's no the two of them. Darmian also is quite late, so these cutbacks are really an issue for Inter right now, especially in defensive transition. And also the next one is the 3-1.
Oh,
This is
God's sake.
honestly, this is it's horrible. Like
Yeah.
3 players completely on the weak side.
Mhm.
Either of them could have scored the 3-1 in my opinion. The problem here is I don't know how to say it, but you see, this is the defensive line. Skriniar on the left, De Vrij centrally, D'Ambrosio on the right, let's say, but they are all on the left.
Yeah, yeah.
On the
they're
weak
all-
side, there's no one there. There are
Yeah.
3 Udinese player, and Barella just stays there, looks at Arslan but doesn't do anything, and that's just an easy goal for them. And this is a problem of individual performances, I was saying before, and also a mental problem, in my opinion. They're not feeling comfortable enough playing, and I just. The first thing that comes to my mind is in this game the 2 substitutions after 30 minutes. That's not a good situation for a player because you don't feel comfortable. You know that if you take a yellow card, if you're booked, you might be substituted. So you're not playing comfortable enough. You're not playing well enough.
No. And the thing
Mentally.
is, it didn't even work. So it was like he's trying to, make this big, decision, but then it didn't pay off. So
Yeah.
now he's probably
It
lost
didn't
the
make
dressing
sense.
room. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. You've seen Bastoni reaction after the substitution. I think that
yeah. And it shows to me that
self-explanatory.
he's kind of desperate. Like he's a guy. Seems like a desperate person, someone who would do that.
Yeah, it's not fine. Okay, this is a different aspect. I've mentioned it at the beginning.
Okay.
The build-up.
Right.
Well, in my opinion, Inter last season has been the best team in Italy for build-up. In general, also one of the most interesting ones in whole Europe because of the fluidity, a very liquid kind of build-up, switching position to unbalance the opponents and finding spaces. But you have to be really accurate with those passes because if you try to bring many players offensively, in the build-up, Dumfries is not involved. He already plays higher and also one of the midfielders. So if you lose the ball there, that's going to be a problem. And in this case, Brozovic tries to pass it to Skriniar, but he's anticipated by Lovric, and look at the space.
Oh, that was such a stupid pass.
Yeah,
That's
a stupid pass.
Out of all of our players, Brozovic is the one you expected the least.
Yeah, he's not playing well either, and that's weird. Look at how wide the players are. Look how much space there is between Acerbi, if I'm not mistaken, and Di Marco on the left, like a lot of space. That's not okay in my opinion. And that
Well, I mean, it's
links
okay if
perfectly.
if you're passing, if you're actually playing good football, but when you lose the ball there, then it's like then you're in big trouble.
You have to be really accurate with those passes
Yeah.
because building up from the back is a great asset if you do it well because you can find spaces. But if you're not accurate enough, if you're not, I don't know, like mentally prepared because they don't look like mentally prepared player right now. They're
Yeah.
not good. You lose the ball there. It's a problem as it happened in the match against AC Milan, as we will see in a minute.
Okay. Let me go to the next slide.
So
Yeah, this is the Chalanoglu when he tried to do the first
yeah,
time pass. Yeah.
absolutely. That's the problem I was talking about before. Uh, if you see, actually, Milan has a lot of players high,
Yeah.
like Leao, De Ketelaere, Messias, Giroud. So if Çalhanoğlu makes that pass, Inter has, have a lot of space to attack.
Mhm.
But that's a crazy pass in a way. Yeah, if you manage to pass correctly the ball, you actually have fine space. But that's a dangerous ball to play, and
Mhm.
Tonali anticipates it, and that leads to a 4 against 4 in the next slide. With Leao totally free to receive and score. So
Yeah.
if the build up is not good enough, and last year it was amazing, this year is not good enough, and that's another problem defensively.
Mhm.
And also the last two slides, then I have some stats prepared also.
Okay.
Basically same problem, Milan with a lot of players high.
Mhm.
Actually, the last one is Tonali, if I'm not mistaken. Like Tonali is really high, so if Inter
Yeah.
manages to go over the first line of pressure, there's a lot of space to attack. But there's a lazy pass to Dumfries, really easy to read for Teo Hernandez,
Mhm.
anticipation, and then in the next slide he carries the ball to the final third, and easy shot for him. Great shot outside, but great shot, and still too distant.
Yeah.
You can see the goal perfectly, the post perfectly, so it's an easy shot for him. So, as we said before, defense of the half spaces, distance from ball carriers and shooters, problems in the build up, and individual performances. And actually, I thought that but last season De Vrij played really
Yes.
bad season. I had the feeling that in the first games he was playing quite good actually, probably the best of the three.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now he's back to his old performances. So if Skriniar is not playing good, Bastoni is playing terrible, and De Vrij is not playing good, and Andanovic is. I don't want to talk about Andanovic, but I have a stat that's really, really interesting.
Okay.
I don't want to get all like technical. I don't want this to be too complicated, but we have a way to measure the percentage of saves, the expected percentage of saves. Okay,
Okay.
it's a weird one,
Yeah.
and it's based on post shot expected goal.
Right.
And Andanovic is saving less than the 33 percentage of shots that he's expected to save. Less
Right.
than
So
33.
this is taken from the post expected.
Yeah, post shot expected goal.
Right. Okay. So out
So
of those, he's only saved 33%.
yeah,
Wow.
only no, not only 33, less than the
Mm.
33 than expected. So he's
Oh.
supposed to save, I don't know, like 5 shots, and he saves less than 33% of 5.
All right. So like
It's
two.
a bit
Yeah.
weird, but it's crazy. That's
Okay.
crazy stats actually. Like
Yeah.
Menyan last year, he had like 25% save more than the expected, and Andanovic
Yeah.
this season is less than 33 than expected.
Yeah.
Onana has to play. I'm
Oh
just saying
yeah.
this. Onana has to play.
It's I think that's one of the reasons again that the pressure is mounting on Inzaghi because he's making these decisions that are kind of just I don't know if he doesn't got the balls to do it, the cojones to do it, to take the captain out of the team, and the lack of usage as well of the youngsters in the team like Aslani, Belanova, which obviously we'll ask
Absolutely.
you about Belanova as well. So I think he's really why are you laughing?
I'm not a great fan of Belanova,
Yeah, yeah, I know,
even if he
but
did play for us.
but Yeah, like let me ask you this question. Like someone I think asked you earlier in the chat. So you're not a fan of Inzaghi. What's like who do you see as like the ideal coach for this Inter team? And do you think two-part question? Do you think Inter should stick with Inzaghi or not?
Well, there are several points that need to be made.
Mhm.
The first point is that, in my opinion, Inzaghi is not a bad coach in preparing the games. I like
Mhm.
when Inter plays well from the start. Inter plays great.
Yeah,
Inzaghi is struggling and has always struggled in making changes during the game. So if something is not working, he's not able to make
he's not good at
find the
reading the
right
game.
strategy. He's
Yeah,
not a great at reading the game exactly. And also, you mentioned cojones. That's a big problem. Like against Victoria Pilsen, you are up 2-0. Victoria Pilsen is one man down. 10 minutes left, and you play Gagliardini instead of Aslani. That's crazy, in my opinion. Doesn't make any sense. Then you have to find a way to play with Gosens and Dumfries. I know it's not easy, but you have to because Di Marco is a defensive liability.
mm.
Darmian is just, I don't know, like a player that a sufficient player. He doesn't do anything
He's
good, doesn't do
reliable.
anything but
Mm.
reliable. You need something more than reliable. Also,
Yeah.
D'Ambrosio is getting way too much minutes, in my opinion.
Mhm.
He's not brave enough, and that's a problem.
Mm.
I would keep him, but I'm afraid that he lost the team mentally, and that's a
Yeah.
big problem. I don't know who's available right now. Maybe Pochettino is still available. I know he was linked with a French team. I don't know if he's still available. But
Pochettino,
yeah,
Tuchel is available.
well,
You
Tuchel would be amazing. I love Tuchel. He's one of
really?
the best managers in the world. In my opinion, he's one of the best managers in the world. I
But
know he had some
what do you
problems.
like? What do you like about Tuchel? Because he plays a similar in terms of formation,
Yeah, that's a
and a little
good
bit more
point. Ja-
defensive. And he bottled. If you're talking about bottling, like how Inter bottled the title last year, he bottled
yeah,
the title to Lille in Ligue 1 to PSG.
yeah, that's right. Well, I think that Tuchel is an amazing manager in like short competitions in Champions League.
Mm,
You don't wanna face a Tuchel team during Champions League, last phase of Champions League.
mhm,
Maybe he has some struggles. He struggles a bit during a long league
mhm,
because he's a really good defensive manager. His team are really well balanced, as I was saying before, for the Champions League final. But maybe offensively, I don't know, something might miss there. I don't know.
yeah, because
But in my opinion,
he's
it's great.
terrorism ball, as you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. He's known for being quite, which I don't think anything wrong with that. Like people make fun of that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with being a terrorist. But then, like I see him as like kind of a, uh, same issues that like Inzaghi in terms of he seems to be very good at cup competitions, which is also seems to be Inzaghi's
Yeah,
specialty. Okay,
I
well,
don't know about that.
let's not look at who is out there available. Like, who would you say should manage like this Inter team? Like, looking at the players, the project. Like, who do you see as like an ideal coach for Inter?
That's hard because I actually would like to say Tuchel, but you just bought Lukaku back,
Yeah, so
so that
that's
doesn't make any sense.
yeah. He's gonna
Uh,
catch
I
the same flight that Tuchel comes in. Lukaku is gonna.
uh, I think maybe Pochettino could be a good manager, a good coach. I like Pochettino. He's not bad.
But like when's the last time he did something good? Like it was like not even his last season at Tottenham. It was probably the Champions League final season, which was what now like
Yeah,
2018, 19. Like that's
18.
the last time
Yeah, 18, 19. Yes, yes. But he was at PSG, and PSG is like a hell for a manager, in my opinion. You don't. There's no way to find tactical strategies that are good enough. You just have to let the players play freely.
Yeah.
Stankovic, I see Stankovic here. I don't know Stankovic as a coach, but he has a special bond with
Yeah.
Inter.
He would be like for me, if we had to go for like, if we got rid of Inzaghi, like get the guy until the last end of the season, Stankovic is the guy because he's the passion merchant, Grinta merchant. He's there,
Yeah.
um, so he would be the short term. Juric, I really like Juric, but I just on like behavioral wise, or like as a person, I just
Yeah.
don't see him being at a big club right now. Maybe in the
I
future he
agree.
will become, but he's too hot headed and too like I don't think he's gonna get bigger players easily to buy into his style of play and like working the way that Conte
Well,
manages to do it. But I don't know if
yeah.
Juric is able to do it.
I think Juric is an amazing manager,
Hmm.
but I don't see him managing a big team. First of all, well, behavioral problems are there, and you're not Gasperini back at Inter. The same problems. He wants his players to like give 110%, run like beasts,
Yeah,
and usually when you have top players, they're not willing to run that much for you.
yeah,
It's harder for a manager like him, and in general, I don't love his offensive output. Defensively, amazing, even though a bit extreme, a bit
yeah. Torino
dogmatic.
matches are awful to watch. Like the people think because he plays 3-4-3, high pressing, they think that they play nice football. But when you watch Torino matches, they're awful to watch.
Yeah, offensively, there are not many ideas in my opinion. It's all around winning the ball back high on the pitch and then create something from there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Simeone is always going to be mentioned because he's a, kind of like an Inter
A
guy.
bond too with the Inter,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that
Uh,
salary, like, it's just impossible.
and
To
I
get him.
wouldn't want Simeone in this moment, honestly. He
Yeah,
used to be like top three managers in the world, like 10
mhm,
years, 5 years ago. I don't know. He feels a bit old right now, as
yeah.
in his way of playing. I had a question for you, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's
You
like
said
a
you're not
comparison.
allowed to ask me questions, only me.
It's just, your idea on this.
Yeah.
It's a comparison between Inter this season, the
Mhm,
first 7 games of the season, and Inter in the first 7 games of last season. On a statistical point of view, non-penalty expected goal against. Okay,
mhm.
so like big chances conceded. Who do you think had the best value defensively this season, Inter, or last season's Inter, in the first 7 games?
Last season, surely.
Nope.
Oh,
No, this season Inter is conceding less than 7 non-penalty expected goal, so less than one per match. Last season it was around 9, but this season you conceded 11 goals and last season 8 goals. So you're not conceding dangerous
well,
chances
we're not
to the
calling it high
opponents,
quality chances.
not high quality chances, but if Andanovic doesn't save anything, you're going to concede 3 goals more, even though you concede really less, a lot
Hmm.
less. So that's the problem with individual performances. Inter is not defending worse than last season. Actually, is defending better in a way statistically, but individual performances are rubbish in this moment. And also offensively, I don't know if I have it here. Um,
No, there's no
this
way that we're
season,
overperforming from last season.
Inter is has 14 non-penalty expected goal. Last season had 16, so quite close actually.
Yeah, yeah.
But you scored 13 goals this season, while you scored 22 last season.
So we were overperforming last season.
Yep, and I think that you just need some time. I would keep Inzaghi for that reason.
Hmm.
Statistically, things are not going well enough, but they might find their balance. Uh, the international break could help you a lot, and also I'll wait for Lukaku's return because I think everything could change with Lukaku's when Lukaku's back. Even though he might need some minutes, to be in condition to play.
Yeah. No, I am, as I said, like, in my streams, the Udinese one was very, out. That's the most Inzaghi out I've been because it was like in the moment I was just like, this guy is lost it, this guy is done. But I'm still not Inzaghi out. Like, you need some time to turn things around.
Hmm.
And of course, we also can't afford it anyway, so it doesn't make too much sense. But he needs to turn it around quickly. He needs to turn it around
Absolutely.
quickly. So yeah,
Well,
those
you
are my
also
points.
have Champions League with you. Well, what Champions League brings, you have to
Yeah,
face Barcelona, and they're not in a great moment,
yeah.
injury
Without
wise.
Aho and Kunde, they will
Yeah,
be
and
struggling.
also Bellerin today, so they basically have no right backs.
Mm.
well, you lost Brozovic too, so
But we've got no left back.
so Gagliardini is playing,
Oh my
obviously,
goodness.
not
Okay,
Aslan.
let's move on to that. Let's move on to that part of the usage of the players, especially the young players. Like to me, I was a big fan of Aslani as soon as I saw him play because I was a big fan of Ricci, and then I was fuming
Yeah,
when Torino
amazing,
bought him. I was like 10 million.
great
Like, why
player.
didn't we buy him? Then I was like, oh crap, this Aslani guy is even better. So I was actually very happy when we signed him. But Inzaghi said he only sees him as a regista, which I
Yep.
said I don't mind it if you're saying that you want him to specialize in that role, which I think is a good thing to try specialize in the role these days because everyone just does a bit of everything. But at the
Yep.
same time, he's got clearly got the quality to play in all the midfield positions. Why, like, do you agree that he should be playing in the other positions too?
I completely agree with you with everything you just said. I completely agree. You want to play him as a regista, that's fine. That's probably the best way to use it in the future.
Mhm.
But if you need a man in the midfield, to replace Çalhanoğlu or Barella, that's going to be that should be Aslani and not Gagliardini. It should never be Gagliardini.
No,
Gagliardini is
it
it's
shouldn't be
like
the answer
Darmian.
to anything. If you Gagliardini is the answer, you're asking the wrong question.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's like Darmian before, is reliable, but not
No,
as
Gagliardini is never
reliable.
reliable.
Yeah, that's it. It just doesn't do anything good. Well, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why he's not brave enough. He always
Mhm.
prefers to use players he trusts instead of players that might make some errors because Aslan is really young. He only played for Empoli for like half a season. That's a really important position role, the regista, especially
Yeah.
in a 3-5-2. The regista is like everything. Aslani might find himself out of position sometimes, but he's a good player with great potential. So
Mm.
you just need to play Aslani, please. And the funny thing is that you could have played Aslani more minutes against Cremonese when you were 3-0, Spezia, against Victoria
Exactly.
Pilsen, as I said. And now he's going to play against Roma,
Yeah.
Barcelona again. So
That's what I'm saying.
that's
Like
so new.
he's only played I think 26 minutes combined this season, and now he's gonna be
Come
thrown
on.
into the thing. And I bet you he will use that excuse saying, "Oh no, he's not, integrated into the team yet, so
Yeah.
maybe we have to play."
And
He'll put
that's on
Hakan in the
Inzaghi.
register. Yeah,
That's on Inzaghi, absolutely.
yeah. And what about? Let's move on to Bellanova because you obviously laughed
Yeah.
earlier. If you guys missed the beginning of the stream, I explained how Marco is a Cagliari fan, so he knows Cagliari inside out, and he's not a big fan of Bellanova. And a lot of Inter fans are calling for Bellanova to get more minutes, which I think even you would agree. Even as not a Bellanova fan, he should be getting more minutes, right?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, this
I,
time, but-
I honestly don't know because I don't think he could be a solution for anything right now. He's not better than Dumfries in anything, but well, I'll try
no,
to
no, no. Come
answer
on,
better.
he's better like a little bit like on the 1v1. He's a bit better than Dumfries.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Dumfries is like absolutely useless in that situation. Yeah.
yeah.
I made a thread on Belanova. We were talking about it before the live stream.
This is how I discovered Marco, by the way, because he made a thread
Yeah,
about Bellanova, and this is how I found him.
it's in Italian, so if you want to read it, maybe you should like activate the translator on Twitter.
Mhm.
I think he was one of the best players for Cagliari last season. Not many players played a good season, but he was one of the best because he's not afraid to take responsibility. He always try to create something. He always wants the ball and create something with the ball. The problem is he's a bad defender, a
Right.
really bad defender. Offensively, he's quite good carrying the ball,
Mhm.
good one-on-one. He's a freakish athlete.
Yeah.
Like you've seen it in a game. He came from the bench. He made like a sprint, an amazing sprint. He's like so fast. But apart from that, offensively, he's not good at attacking from the weak side as Dumfries does.
He's very
Technically,
one-dimensional.
is perfect. Yeah,
Mm.
one dimensional. Yeah, he doesn't have a left foot. He always uses the right one. He's a good crosser, I'd say.
Hmm.
He's not a good passer. He's not like a regista on the
No.
flanks. You know, like Arnold, like Perisic either. You know, even Perisic was not an amazing regista, but you
Mhm.
know that once you give the ball to Perisic, he could create something, play a one-on-one, come inside of the pitch and create something. Belanova is not that kind of player. He's only
No.
one-on-one and athleticism. But I don't think I didn't like the sign, honestly. The signing. I
Really?
wouldn't have bought Belanova. Yeah, I don't know why you bought Belanova. Honestly, I know he's young. He had a good season, but from the points of his characteristics, it's totally useless. Inter needed a Perisic too in a way.
Yeah.
Also
No.
on the right, there's a player I like a lot this season. I'm liking a lot this season. Who I think would be a great asset for Inter, and is Pasquale Mazzocchi from Salernitana. He's not a big name at all, but he
We're
has
linked
all the
with him.
characteristics. What?
We're linked with him. I saw the other day they said we're already linked with
I
him.
That would be a good signing in my opinion. He has one-on-one. He comes inside of the pitch. He's technically good. He's not an amazing player defensively, probably especially. He's not a good player. Better than Di Marco because everyone is better than Di Marco defensively, in my opinion. But he could be a good signing, I guess.
Yeah. He's a bit of like a late peaker. Yeah, he definitely adds those things that we missed since Perisic has left. But again, I would rather try to go for like a more technical profile.
Well, it should be quite cheap also, and you don't have much money right
It
now.
should be in theory, but when we go ask to a Salernitana, I'm sure the price will be like double. So it's yeah, it is what it is. And we had a quick question here from Sunit as well about the 3-4-3. What do you think? I just don't think we have the players for it. I think we need more like winger, second striker type players to play that formation.
Yeah, well, there are two problems for the 3-4-3 for Inter right now. The first one is that both Bardella and Çalhanoğlu are number 8, like
Yeah,
mezzala, as
yeah,
we call them, and in a 3-4-3 there's no room for them. Also, as you were saying, you should have some wingers able to. Thank you, Anthony. To play a one-on-one successfully, and Inter is like one of the worst teams in Serie A in like for 3 years now.
yeah. It's been bad for a while. Like
Yeah,
even without Perisic, it's even worse now.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
I was trying
I
to
think
say
we're
that.
second worst or third worst in the league at the moment this season.
Yeah, and that's a big problem because when you're facing teams that prefer to sit deep against you, and that's normal. You should have a player that is able to, like unbalance the other team,
Hmm.
win a one-on-one, create space, create something, and you don't have that because
Yeah.
like your fullbacks can play a one-on-one. You
No,
have four fullbacks, and neither of them can play a one-on-one
to save their life. None of them. Like if you told
to
them
save
that
their
you
lives. Yeah,
you got a gun to your head and you have to beat someone 1v1, none of them will be able to do it.
yeah. In my
um,
opinion, you should find a way to play together, Gossens and Doomfries. You should do that.
I
It's not
think
easy.
hopefully now maybe if it was a physical thing, surely I think Ghosts now should be ready. I hope Inzaghi is now ready to trust him because
Well,
he got called up for Germany in the international break
mhm.
too.
But I thought it was a problem, like condition problem, but then he played 90 minutes in Champions League, so I'm not understanding Inzaghi honestly. It's like he doesn't trust Gosens for Serie A, but he
Yeah.
trusts Di Marco. I don't know. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, Darmian on the left as well is a very confusing one because if you're gonna play him, then play him on the right. On the left, he's completely useless because he can't build up and he can't
Yeah,
really.
I
He's always gonna
f-
try
it,
cut back.
he's useless in general. Let's say he's a okay player. You
Yeah,
don't need okay players. You need good players, great players, and you have great players in my opinion. It's just not easy to find a solution to play them together, because Gosens and Dumfries are basically the same player with the same pros and the same cons. You just have to find some solutions, and I think you could find some solutions, especially in the build-up. I made a thread about it too. I don't know if you see that, if you saw that, but I made a thread about that too.
Maybe, can't remember.
Yeah, I don't like Belanova, as I said.
Well, speaking of Cagliari, before we finish, I want to ask, some people at the beginning were asking Franco Carboni, our boy on loan
Yeah.
to Cagliari, who is he played as a left wing back for Inter in the youth
Yes.
team, but he doesn't look like a left wing back to me. Like, the size of him does not look like a left wing back.
Yeah.
But
He's huge.
where does he play
He's
for
huge.
you? First of all, does he play for Cagliari? Where does he play, and how does he play?
Well, the point is that our coach Liverani is not giving him any minutes, basically. When we needed a left back, he preferred to play the right back on the left instead of playing Carboni. He played. He started against in the last match that we lost. Actually, I didn't see him enough to like judge him as a player. I've seen that he's really big. He is a good crosser. I have to watch him more, but at the moment I don't think that our Liverani likes him. And we also bought another left back, so we have 3 left backs right now, and I think he's the third one in the.
Right, that's going to be a useless loan.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at his stats. So he's got.
I think he played like 90 minutes in total.
Let me share my screen, show people. So he's got 4 appearances in Serie B, 1 in the cup. 124 minutes in total.
Yeah, he's not playing. He's not
only
playing.
one start, though, the looks of it.
Yes, against Bari, the last game we lost it. But basically, he played because our last signing, Barreca, was injured.
Okay.
So that's that. I think he won't play much.
Great. So
I'm sorry about it.
What about your Sardinian brother Barella? What do you make of him? Because I thought this was going to be his season, because I thought finally he has some rest in the summer. He's going to have rest in the winter because of the World Cup. Obviously, we're not going to the World Cup. So how highly do you rate Barella, and what do you make of him at Inter?
Well, I'm not objective on Barella. I love Barella so much. He's
You got the bias.
It's like a bro. It's like a brother. I don't know Barella personally, but he's like a brother because he's from Cagliari. He's 24, like me.
Yeah.
We were born the same year, and I think he's struggling a bit this season. Physically, first of all, Barella has the same problems that he had when he started playing. He's too. I don't know how to say it. He gets angry easily. He's always complaining with the teammates too. But when he's playing well, I think that he's one of the best in the world in his position because he's complete. He's a great defensive player. He started in Cagliari and he was an amazing defensive player. Then at Inter he developed more on the offensive side, and now he's a great assist man. Last season he made like 12, 13 assists, I guess. So he's good on the ball. He's athletic. I think that the main issue with Barella is that he's not scoring enough.
I've been on that for years, like since he signed. He's got ability to finish, but I don't see him like having that timing. Like he doesn't have that,
that's it.
Instinct. He doesn't have that
that's
instinct
it.
for timing the run into the box.
Timing of ball. Yeah, he's a good shooter from outside the box, but I wish he could be better in in the box of ball runs in the box. Yeah, that's the biggest problem with him right now, because if he added this, he would be like top 3 in the world in that position. But again, I'm not objective on Barella. I love Barella so much.
No, we all do. We all big Barella fans. He got actually he used to be very protected by our fan base, but now I think every player now is like under the microscope. I used to
Yeah,
criticize him last season because I didn't think, even though he had like 13, 14 assists last season, I didn't think he had a great
I
season.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree. I agree. Yeah, I don't know why actually, but uh, lately he's having like 1 or 2 months of matches that he just plays really bad. I don't know why. Then he
yeah.
starts playing amazingly, especially against Cagliari. He loved to play against Cagliari
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
I don't know why. So I'm sorry for you, but we are not in Serie A anymore. So Barella is not going to play. He's going to play less game, 1 game less better.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, no, yeah. Even Skriniar, like
yeah,
Skriniar is the one guy I'm biased with Skriniar, but even I'm not protecting Skriniar this season. I'm just like everyone can get the criticism now.
yeah.
Um, But yeah, Marco, that was great. We almost hit the hour marks, and I hope that was a very insightful. So it definitely was for me, so I hope it was for the viewers. Before I let you go, Marco, I want to
Mm-hmm.
plug your Twitter account for sure because I want to make sure
Okay.
people follow you because it's a great follow. Here it is, Marco Lai underscore 23 with a beautiful picture. Uh,
With a long beard, as I always have.
And yeah, this was the he made a thread about the Derby ball recently that went viral. So yeah, make sure you check out Marco. Anything else you want to plug?
Well, actually, I wanted to, like, apologize for my English if something was not clear
No,
enough. But
it's
I actually
perfect.
I have problems speaking in general. It's not just English, also in Italian. I just stutter a lot. But thanks so much for having me. It was actually a great experience. So maybe we could try this again.
Yeah, for sure. No, no, definitely. Maybe in the second half of the season, you come back with a more positive thread. Don't
Yeah, I
know.
hope so. A thread on Barella. A thread on
Yeah,
Barella.
or Bellanova.
No, I don't. I don't think that will happen.
Well, yeah, no, I enjoyed that a lot. Thank you very much for coming on, guys. And yeah, guys, I'm I think 20 subscribers away from 4,000, guys. So make sure if you're new, if you're a Marco's friend or anyone that's come off Marco's Twitter, make sure you just hit the subscribe button. I'm very, very close to 4,000 and leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Ciao, ragazzi. See you on the next one. And always, always, Forza Inter.
Thank you.